All right on folks, John Crane here in my shop, and today we're gonna take a trip over to Seattle. We're gonna go get a ferry boat, head over to the city, and we are going to visit a place called CH Holderby. Now they are probably one of the best sales and service places for industrial sewing machines, probably on the West Coast. They've been doing this a long time. I think they've been in business since like 1940. And they got this warehouse. This is why we're going over today. They are having a big liquidation sale of all these sewing machines that they have in this old warehouse. And I tell you, it is just packed with old machines. This is gonna be a fun trip. You know, a lot of fun just to check out and see what they got. And I'm also probably gonna pick up a few of these machines while I am there. So I think this is gonna be a lot of fun. We'll probably pick up something, bring those machines back here at the end of the day, and we'll look over what I got from this place. So let's head on over to Seattle. Let's go grab a boat and see what's going on at CH Holderby. All right, I arrive here at the warehouse and I meet up with a young guy named Michael, who is actually the grandson of Ernie, who owns CH Holderby, and he is just a nice young guy, and he lets me in here to take a look around. And right off the bat, I am instantly overwhelmed with the amount of machines that they have. And I tell you, part of my head is saying, boy, you have so many projects. Maybe you should just get out of here and don't buy anything. And the other part of my head is saying, maybe buy all the machines that they have here. And how can I get a box truck over here and start loading these out? But I start looking around and I do end up buying a few machines. But let's start taking a look at the ones that I zeroed in on here, and we'll just take a look around at some individual machines. All right, here is a Singer bar tack machine. Now this can do several different patterns. Looks like a nice old machine. And this, I almost wanted to buy this. This is a rivet press for buttons, like snap buttons. Pretty cool. And here is another Singer bar tacking machine. And lots of buttonhole machines. Lots of these Reese buttonhole machines. There must have been a dozen of these. Now I don't do much with making buttonholes, but these machines sure are cool with that little knife that cuts out the center of the buttonhole. And there's lots of these machines. These are multi-needle machines with a puller on the back, usually used for sewing elastic into like pants or boxers or sportswear, but they had a lot of these machines. This is a multi-needle machine. Here is a nice twin needle Juki sewing machine. I am keeping my eye on this machine right here. And I don't even know what this machine is. I haven't used this machine, but it sure looks really cool. If you know in the comments, let me know what that machine is. Here's another, looks like a binding attachment here on a Singer sewing machine. Looks like a nice heavy piece of equipment. Here is another old Singer machine. Lots of this kind of old Singers, single needle. Here's a nice Juki overlock machine with a puller on the top there. Here is another multi-needle machine. You see this one has 3 needles. There are just so many different machines at this place. Here is a Consew bar tack, another bar tack machine. And this Consew is probably about the same era as my Consew 206 RB, which is probably from the early 80s. Here is a Union Special Lewis machine. And here's a nice little overlock machine. I was tempted actually to get this. They had lots of overlock machines and sergers and lots of these blind stitch machines. These are really great little machines, and they had so many different blind stitch machines that they were selling in the warehouse. And let me tell you, they had boxes upon boxes of sewing machine parts. Here's a whole box of pulleys if you need a clutch motor pulley. And here is another blind stitch machine. I tell you, they had lots of the blind stitch machines. I'm looking for more leather working machines, like a walking foot type of machine. These are a lot of garment industry machines here. I'm looking for a little bit heavier duty, but this is a nice one here. Here's a 4-needle, multi-needle union special. Here is another Singer bar tack machine. Bar tacking is great, for like the canvas work that I do. Here is another bar tack machine that is set up, I don't know, with some kind of special setup here. I don't know what this was used for, but this machine definitely has a lot going on. You can see if you're going to be a sewing machine mechanic like Ernie, who owns CH Holderby, just imagine all the information and knowledge he has about these machines. There's just so much going on with them. And check out this Union Special multi-needle machine. Now this can hold up to 12 needles. It's a chain stitch machine. It's got all those loopers down there at the bottom. All right, here is a Singer 281-1. Here's another Union Special. Looks like a single needle machine. And this looks to be like a binding machine. I am no expert at these machines. I do know, about the machines that I have. But check out this machine. This is another bar tacker. This is long before they had safety guards. Look at all the stuff you could get your fingers caught in here. This looks to be a Gilman Industries. Oh, and check this out. I really wanted to buy this, but the owner, Ernie, did not want to sell this. Ernie, if you do want to sell this, give me a call. Here is another machine that I found way in a back room. I didn't even look for a name on this, but it did look pretty darn cool. It's just overwhelming looking at all these machines. And like I said, I was looking for a cylinder arm. I really want to get a FAF cylinder arm with the small cylinder end, but I didn't see anything like that here at this sale. But they did have a ton of machines, and I did pick up a few. Look at this here. I talk about more parts here. Do you need some feed dogs for what kind of machine? I am not sure. And then in the back room, we can see here there are just palletfuls of sewing machine heads, lots of Singer machines. And then this right here, this is some sort of rivet button attachment machine. I'm not sure what this machine here is all about. Maybe let us know in the comments. Here is another little serger machine, and I tell you, it just goes on and on and on. All right, before I knew it, it was nightfall and time to make my way back to the shop. But what a beautiful night it was. And check out this footage from the ferry crossing. All right, I ended up getting 6 machines. I loaded those things up. I've got them back here at the shop. This is a couple days later now, but let's take a look at these 6 different machines, and I will save the best machine or machines for last. Okay, first up on the list is this Juki LK282. It's a bar tacking machine, and I think this will be great for the canvas work that I'm doing. But if we take a look closer at this, I'm not sure, this might be a lot of work. You don't know getting a machine like this, if it's going to run or it's going to be some problems. They didn't know either. But I am missing some parts down below, like the pulley for the motor. I'm going to have to figure out the size for the pulley. Who knows? Could be a winner, could not. But I think it's worth a shot here. This would be great on my tool bags, pouches, that type of thing, where you want to put some extra stitching for some reinforcement. So the Juki bar tack machine. Oh, and just while we're here in this room, I did actually get this over there at that sale as well. And these are great if you've ever worked in shipping and receiving. This is a taping machine, and you put water in here, and there's a little reservoir, and this wets the tape as it goes through. It has an adhesive that's activated by water. You give this a crank over here, it spits out a piece of tape at a certain length, and this is great for packaging up cardboard boxes, that type of thing. Columbia Records, I don't know if that's where this came from. All right, and I did end up getting this Union Special, right? Let the midnight special shine its light on me. All right, now this, I couldn't pass it up. Now they were starting to say that some of these machines might just be going to the recycle, to the dump. I'm not sure. But so I was like, maybe I'll grab this one just out of curiosity's sake here. Look at this. This can hold up to 12 needles. It's a chain stitch machine. 12 loopers here. It looks like a lot to thread, but it looks awesome. And I was like, I should just grab this machine while it's here. Let's take a look at the back side. Now it's got a puller on the back. It's got a little gearbox here, and that operates this puller. This thing goes up and down. And like I was saying, a lot of times these are used for stitching elastic into sportswear or dresses or boxer shorts or underwear, that type of thing. But there are lots of other uses for this as well. So right now this is set up as a 4-needle machine. I don't know, I'm gonna fool around with it. Here is the throat plate that came with it, and this attaches here, swings in, and it looks like it's got some sort of binding attachment. Now, I'll give you the number on this. So it's a Union Special 54400. So if you have any information on this machine, if you've used this machine, drop something in the comments there. And this attachment here, this says New York Attachment Corporation. I think this is the same here on this gearbox, and they got their sticker here on the top, and I think that's just all about the puller on the back. All right, I guess in between machines, I'm showing other little things I got here. This is an Eastman Robin. I looked this up. It's hard to find. This must be pretty old. Now they're called Eastman Cardinal, and this is a fabric cutter. And it looks like, I don't know, somebody made some sort of attachment. I don't know if this was to make this thing stationary, but I think I'm gonna put a base plate back on this, maybe like it originally came, and get this thing rolling again. These things, when they are new, these are, like a little thing like this is actually like $3,000 for a fabric cutter. I know it sounds insane, but some of these industrial products go for a bunch. Okay, machine number 3 of the 6. I got this Juki here. This is a Juki LH1178, and this is pretty cool. This is a twin needle machine, and I think this is going to be great because so often I am stitching, with my other machines that are single needle, and I want to get that nice parallel stitching. Now you're going to see this often on a lot of clothes, especially like right at your pants pockets like this. That's where you see that double needle stitching. This is used in lots of clothing. I want to use this in some canvas work because a lot of times I am stitching 2 rows. I'm trying to get them nice and parallel, and that's hard to do without a double needle machine. You see here, if we slide out the cover, we got a bobbin on one side, and if we slide out this one, right, we got a bobbin on the other side. And I'm pretty sure if you want, you can put different size spread here on needles. You can make the spread a little bit wider, and you can move those bobbins left and right down below. Now this is pretty cool. It does have an oil reservoir down below, and it also has a puller system here. Here's this puller system here. It says Galkin, Hicksville, New York. It doesn't have a roller here, but you know, I don't know if I'm going to use that roller attachment or not. It's a little bit funky here. It looks like somebody set this up and the belt is actually rubbing on this deal here. But the good thing that I did like about this, when I got this, actually I broke that thread off, but I did find it with this right in here, and that's a good sign because that means the last time this thing was run, it was actually stitching some thread. So there was quite a few machines over there that had a piece of test fabric under the presser foot. So I think that's a good sign. Okay, and before I get to the last three machines, check out this. There was tons of these little containers, and I really like these little types of parts containers. So I took as many of these as I could. I just kept thinking that all this stuff was just being thrown into the dump. So I just started loading up. How about this? I picked up a box of this kind of stuff just for nostalgia here. Look at this. This is like if you want to re-sew on some cuffs onto your shirts. And I think we also have some collars. Yeah, replacement collars. Like, who is doing this anymore? Who is replacing collars on shirts? You know, maybe we got to get back to that where you own a shirt for several years and you're repairing it and using it again and again rather than just throwing it in the garbage. All right, the last three machines, I don't know if they're going to be workhorses around the shop like these other machines that I got, but they were so cool, I couldn't pass it up. And here's the first one here, and this is an old blind stitch machine. I think this is from around 1925, 1929, that type of thing. And blind stitch machines are really cool. Let's take a closer look. Okay, I'm looking for an example of a blind stitch, and we'll go up my arm here to the sleeve, and you see that stitching right there? That hem that makes the end of my sleeve, that is a blind stitch. Now I just folded my sleeve up a little bit, and you see the stitching on the inside? That is what this machine does. It won't do that exact stitch. You know, this is a much older machine, but that is what a blind stitch machine does. Okay, if we take a closer look, the American Blind Stitch Machine, New York, USA, and it says down below here, the new Dearborn felling machine, patents pending. Now, I know Dearborn was the guy who invented this particular machine or made improvements on the blind stitch machine. And if we look here, we got some patent dates, American Blind Stitch Machine, but these are just fascinating to watch how they work. So if I rotate this back here, you see how this looper comes in, and it's not showing it here, but right here, there's a little knife that comes up in the center. It's going to push the fabric up. It's going to make a little pucker at the top so it can make a loop around. It's going to make that blind stitch. It's really cool how this thing works. But let's take a closer look at just how this looper is coming in. And if you can see that needle on the left, that needle is actually turning and twisting. So if we come around here to the side, take a look at this mechanism right here. Look how this thing operates. Isn't that wild? Look at the eccentric movement. Now that is going in and out here, and that is enabling that needle to pivot and turn as this machine works. I just think it's awesome, and it would be fun, really fun, to get this thing going again. So this would be a nice little shop project. Look at this right here. This tells me that there was so much fabric run over this thing right here, you know, that this wore off this plating here on the top. So you got to imagine that this was in some sort of factory, right? Some slave drivers just running some women, you know, in some factory, you know, making them work 15 hours a day, just stitching away on an old machine like this. All right, and check out this beauty right here, another Union special, and I believe this is a bag making machine. If we look at the serial number here, or the style, 5400 CZ Union Special Machine Company. Here is their trademark. This is a little symbol for their patented, I guess, double lock stitch. They made this machine that had a very strong chain stitch for bag making. And I believe the story was when they came out with their machines, it sewed twice as fast as any previous machine made for bag making. So I think they're out of Chicago. I think several years later, they opened up another company in Germany, Union Special bag making machine. And it seems to be working real nice if we see the action. So I'm excited. I want to get this thing up and rolling and stitching. Hopefully I can get the right needle for this. And if any of you have information about this machine, be sure to drop something in the comments. That's half the battle on these kinds of things, is finding all the correct information. I did look up some information on the Smithsonian Archives. They have some literature out, and I do think that this is a unique machine, that this is left-handed. And in the literature, you can see most of the machines that you do see are coming from the right to the left. So this seems like a unique bag making machine. And it's also cool to check out the pictures in these books, and they're showing how these were driven with these pulleys and a leather belt off of a line shaft. And you can just imagine, right, the factory's full of women sewing on these, making bags, making garments. And I don't know, for some reason, when I think about what kind of bags were made on these, I think maybe it was some feed bags or flour bags. And I don't know, I think about, remember that episode of Little House on the Prairie when some bad flour came to town in those sacks, or cornmeal, and they were all full of fleas. People were getting typhus. I don't know, right? Some old bad flour on Walnut Grove. All right, check out this machine. This is the one I am most excited about, a Union Special. And this is a single needle interlock machine. And this is, I found some literature on it. It's a 15400 single needle interlock machine. And this is a beauty. You know, these are great for stitching the edge of fabric. I do have a Yamato machine that is beautiful, and it's great for sewing up like the edge of canvas is what I'm usually using it for. And so that makes it so that the edge of the fabric does not fray, and it gets wrapped nicely in this looping stitch. So this machine right here, this is really awesome. It's got some loopers in here. It's got a cutter. And check this out right here. I found this in the literature. These are all the points for oiling this machine. I think there's 43 spots. You're supposed to oil this every day. Boy, machines have really come a long way as far as oiling. But the book that I found on this was all about knitting, or sewing knitted undergarments. And you want to be able to have a machine like this that wraps the edges of those garments so they don't fray. But in that literature, it was great. They're showing you all the details on how the edges get wrapped, how the loopers get set, all the timing. Boy, they even had in this book here a little section about how to set up your own factory and to have everyone working on the top floor with skylights above them for the light. I think at this time when these machines were being used, you know, you'd be working from sun up to sun down. And I think it was mostly women working in these factories. And I can't help but think of the Triangle Waist Shirt Factory. Boy, remember that story where the bosses in New York had locked the women in and there was a fire? They couldn't get out. It was one of the biggest tragedies in New York City industry. Boy, what an awful story that was. But great to be able to find some literature on this machine. I'm really excited about this, and I want to get this thing up and rolling. Let's just show some of the movement here. Everything seems to be working nicely, and hopefully I can get it up and running. Who knows if it's missing any parts, but You know, you're probably not going to find any parts for a machine like this, but I guess I can make them here in the machine shop, you know, if I know what to make. All right, folks, if you made it this far in the video, you must love sewing machines as much as I do. I think they're absolutely fascinating pieces of equipment. I love working on them. I love working with them. We're going to get these all up and going. I got a lot of projects going in the sewing room, lots of cool canvas tool bags that I am working on, and it is a lot of fun. I want to give a shout out to Michael over there at CH Holderby and his grandfather Ernie, who has been doing this since 1941. You just got to imagine all the knowledge that that guy has. And talking to Michael, Michael's trying to learn the business there, and that is great because that is good to pass on all that kind of collected knowledge. You just imagine, you know, what that guy must know, and so pass it on to young Michael there, because this stuff is rapidly disappearing, just as manufacturing jobs and those kinds of things have disappeared in the United States. So it's hard to find this information. It's hard to find someone to fix your sewing machine. All right, hope you guys are doing great. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did making it and going over to Seattle. And hey, pay CH Holderby a visit. Maybe you need a machine, maybe you need your machine fixed. Talk to those guys. You know, there's a little section on their website that says Ask Ernie. You can ask him questions about sewing machines. CH Holderby in Seattle. All right, right on, folks. Hope you guys are all doing great, and I will see you all soon. Right on.